You know, there's nothing like cracking that cellophane and pulling that record out. It just smells great.
Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Non-stop hardcore energy.
I love the show, guys. You're awesome.
Unlike any other.
With your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bodfather.
Man, this stuff rocks.
The views and opinions of the guests do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of BODS Mayhem Hour, its staff, affiliates, or sponsors. Parental discretion is advised. Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Hey, this is Tim K.
Hey, this is Chris Adler.
This is Tim Ossenfort of Shallow Rising, and you are watching BODS Mayhem Hour.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I am your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bodfather. And as always, I'm bringing you guys and gals awesome interviews. Today, it's an honor and a very huge privilege to welcome Tim King, Chris Adler, and T.O. from Shallow Rising. And Shallow Rising is going to be releasing a new debut single. It's a lyric video actually called Further. And like Tim King said, as soon as they can get it up and going, it will be released. So be on the lookout for that. And I'm very excited, like I said, to have these gentlemen on here, especially Chris Adler. I have loved Chris Adler since the first time I've heard him drum. And I'm not saying this just because Chris is on here for the first time, but I mean, man, he is a beast on the drums. And if you don't respect what he does, go home.
Well, that's very kind of you. Thank you.
Just go home and be done. Don't listen to any more music. You are a band. You lost your man card.
Right on.
So how excited are you guys to have this new lyric video coming out called Further, releasing very soon? How excited are you guys to get this out and be like, look, this is us and it's going to be a new beginning?
This is something we've been working on for a while now. When we started this song, I had to go back and look at the dates. We recorded the drums for this in Richmond, Virginia in 2021. You know, and so because we started, it was just me and Chris over there then. And then eventually, you know, work with some people, work with some other people. We got some more songs. We went out to LA. I dragged Chris to the middle of the woods in Michigan, I think about 3 times now. We got our singer, Alex, is from born and raised in Los Angeles. You know, when you live in the city, he's never gone anywhere except a road trip to Texas, never flown on a plane before. It's hilarious. So we dragged him out of the city of LA, brought him to the woods in Michigan too. And yeah, we've just been working on it for quite a bit. We got a lot of material together now, but you know, I really like this song. I think everyone in the band really likes the song. We're real excited for everyone to check it out.
Are you shocked that something like that had that many years to develop and now is fitting into your music? Are you shocked that do you still have some like that that's still going to be on this?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of stuff though, just with everyone's schedules and different things people are doing and being busy. Unfortunately, it does turn into, you know, chip away a little bit here, chip away a little bit there. But I think it also makes for the entire catalog that's ultimately going to be, you know, the band Shallow Rising is more diverse this way, because when me and Chris first met up, I mean, Chris can attest to this. I think he thought I just wanted him to come in, blast beats for 5 minutes, music, everyone's going to beat the crap out of each other too. And this is actually, this first song we're doing is a little bit more along the lines of that. But I mean, you know, just with the amount of time we've taken and the people we've gotten to collaborate with that are in the band, it's a little bit more diverse that way. So I guess that is a positive on the, you know, 3.5 years basically of working on it.
It's been fun. I mean, that's kind of the big difference. And I don't know if everybody feels the same way, but for me, it's just been every once in a while you get a call from a friend and it's like, yeah, let's do something. Let's see what happens, you know? And now we've put enough material together that is, you know, an album basically. And it is drastically diverse. Like Tim said, when he and I had been in contact several years prior and just kind of became friends, and he's like, hey man, can you come out and do some tracks? And he's exactly right. I thought, okay, I guess I'm just going to go out there and, you know, just do a bunch of Slayer covers or whatever. And quickly after we did, I think we did the song first, and then the next song we had something else lined up, and not everything was perfectly together, but I quickly realized that I had misjudged a little bit about what the project was kind of going for. And not to say that it's not heavy, but I think I came in, like Tim said, just kind of prepared to, you know, go all out metal. And there's a lot of stuff on there that's not, which is great.
I was waiting on you, Tim K.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I'm a keyboard player, man. I just put flowers on the end of it.
Wait,
He's not giving himself enough credit. One of the fun things is actually, and this is a fun fact, I guess, for the history of the band. Tim King initially left me on red for about 6 months when I said, "Hey, Tim King, I got this record. I want you to play on it." Because I've known Tim King for a while. We were touring in a band previously, and it was fun because I really think, like, starting out with me and Chris getting the guitar and drums together, and then ultimately, we had the bassist pretty early on, but then getting to incorporate the keyboards into everything, it just really made it a lot more diverse. So Tim King, doesn't have as much history with everything, but still, equal, large impact on the music.
I completely forgot about that part. Literally, it wasn't intentional. Like, I saw the text come in, something about going to LA to do something, put it away, forgot about it. Like 6 months later, you're like, "So, what do you think?" Oh yeah, this sounds pretty good, man. I'll put some tracks on this.
From my perspective, it really did come together kind of out of friendship more than any idea that we were going to be doing a record, and kind of the material just kept coming and coming and coming, and doing more and more of it, and all of it getting better and better all the time. But I think we've done a couple of videos now, and I think the first video that I showed up for, I was like, "Oh wait, are we like a band? Am I in this? Am I actually in this band?" Because it had been, kind of piecemeal and sessions here and sessions there, but we were all, friends. It's just, I was like, okay, yeah, this is great. And then once the material really became a little more solidified, it felt, absolutely like a band. So I was just, I don't know what I was thinking, but just hanging out with friends.
That's a true story there too, because I remember we were like in the hallway outside the video shoot, Chris, and I said, so what do you think about the name? You're like, and I told it to you. You're like, "Well, that's the first time I've heard it."
The problem is, it really is. This was just a group of friends that got together and started working on music, and so everyone does their part that still has a great impact on the songs. But it really did just turn into this started off as some demos on my laptop. When I dragged Chris, we did the first session in Richmond. I got him out to Los Angeles. Some of the stuff I had him play on was like 45-second clips. I got 2 minutes of this. We got some guitar riffs. We don't know, is this going to be a song? Is this not? And it's really, since this isn't something pressing, since we're not signed to a label that's saying, "Hey, we gave you guys this much money. We need a record done in 6 months. You're going on tour at 7 months." We really got the chance to just, "Oh, we got some time. Let's work on it. Let's meet up." And also everyone living in different places, I mean, me and Chris are sort of close to each other. Right now I'm in South Carolina. He's in Virginia, so I can sort of drive to his house. But I mean, if I got to drive to Tim King's house, it's 16 hours away from me, So we do that, every couple of months, and we've just, all are able to work from home. The singer's in LA. The bassist is up by Tim King in Michigan. So, it's really just been having fun, getting these songs worked on, meeting up when we can. And ultimately now, we got a big handful of songs. We got 2 music videos filmed. We got further lyric video coming out soon. And honestly, it's just been, it's fun getting to work on this just for fun, no pressure, just friends, getting to make songs together.
Would each of you say that Shallow Rising is a breath of fresh air, like a continuation of your musicianship of where you came from till now?
For me, 100%, as kind of things, not to say anything bad about anybody, but as, being in a couple really large bands that just kind of became almost a business, it was, the fun started to leave, and it was more of a, well, not that I'm not saying I didn't enjoy it, but it was absolutely every bit of a job, as opposed to like the kind of friendship that we kind of started out with. Like once things started getting rolling and the snowball just gets going, it's like nobody can stop it. And, whether or not anybody's having a good time, you still got to show up the next day. And, it just becomes kind of this routine that really does, put a lot of people, well, gets a lot of people in trouble, actually, just because it's not always the healthiest lifestyle to live. So this, to me, is wonderfully different in that, like Tim said, that there's no label, there's no pressure, and we're just buddies, and we're talking on the phone a couple times a week, and just like, oh yeah, that sounds like a good idea, and just kind of coming up with this stuff. And I got to give Tim King a lot of credit, man. That guy the amount of stuff that he's been able to bust out just so quickly all the time, and just the content and his technical ability is pretty impressive. And I've never actually, I don't think I've ever been in a band with a keyboard player before, and I don't think I ever really wanted to, but I am very glad that Tim King is in the band.
Most people don't.
Well, I played in a group with Tim King for a while that would not have existed without him. He basically took a bunch of dudes that were playing in a garage in Michigan, got them on the road, got them signed, started doing some records and stuff. And then I think that entire band quit. And then that's how I ended up getting linked up with Tim King, where all of a sudden he had his band, he turned it into time to go on the road. You know, we're doing, everyone said, I got a day job, I got kids, I can't go on tour next week. So then eventually mutual friend linked me up with him. But yeah, Tim King is, well, for better or worse, basically handling, you know, all the brains of the operation right now. Definitely a huge help.
Yeah, and back to your question for sure. During that period of me ignoring Tim's text for 6 months, it was like post-COVID. You know, we had the entire year of 2020. We had tours planned. We got done with the Alter Bridge run in February, and like everything's done. We've all got COVID from being on the road. And so it was like, whatever, back to the day job. Don't need to do this anymore right now. It's an expensive hobby anyway. And then, like I said, you know, eventually I got working on this with these guys, and it's just been fun. It's not a job anymore. It's not work. It's just like, hey, cool, here's something new I can work on today. And if they like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. And whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, it should be like that first time you guys get in a garage band. I don't care if you've been around for 40 years, you're a huge super ass band, whatever, like Metallica or whoever. But it should be like that first day you guys form in a garage to start playing. It should be just like that. That's how it should be. Shouldn't be no stress. I mean, stress is going to come with it. But as far as like being job, like Chris said, God, that's mentally stressing on somebody that just wants to play fucking music, and that's it.
It is. Yep. And we've all got a lot of respect for each other, and we know, you know, everybody has families, and, you know, nobody's pushing anybody to, you know, kind of get in any way uncomfortable about anything. So yeah, it's kind of it's really, the music's great, but it does feel almost kind of like casual, like when I was 16, you know, starting my first band. It's just fun.
Mm-hmm. Chris, how did you and TMO meet for the first time, and the other members also?
He can probably correct me on this, but I don't know if I'm getting this backwards or not, but I remember years and years ago, I read an article about this producer that maybe did I know you then? I'm not sure if I knew you then, but I was reading this article about this guy that was offering to produce an album for a band if they were to come out of retirement for free. And I just thought that was cool, man. This guy gets it. He loves music for the right reasons. This is a cool guy. And then both of us randomly got called into a session in Nashville where we just became super fast friends. And there was some downtime during that project, and we just kind of started fucking around. And I think that's probably where a lot of the stuff like originally started, or at least our friendship did. But he can probably correct me on that. My memory is pretty shot.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's pretty much it. And really, when we first got to meet up and hang out, you know, we were down there working on a record in Nashville. And I think we were there for almost 2 weeks. And it was fun. I remember we went downtown for a little bit. You know, we went to a few restaurants and stuff. We were hanging out. You know, obviously, Nashville's a fun place, too. So it was a lot of fun over there. And basically, the entire band is formed. Sort of my day job is like music production engineering. And, you know, I've got to travel to a lot of different places, record different people. And so that's how, you know, I met up with Chris. I was the engineer. He was the session drummer. Tim King, I cut a record for a guy named Anthony once. Anthony later joins Tim King's band. Then they're about to go on tour with Alter Bridge. They need another guitarist. You know, I get a call from him. Our singer, Alex, he's singing a million band. I think he does like 14 shows a week in Los Angeles or so. He's just singing for everybody. Man, that's his day job, is singing in the bars. And I cut a record for a band he was in. And so this was kind of fun. This was basically all these different, you know, either it's people I recorded or people I met through that. I was able to, you know, once you get into a studio with someone like Alex, our singer, is incredibly talented. I mean, he'll knock out a song in an hour, no auto-tune, million layers, whatever you want him to do. And so it's fun. You kind of get to sit in the studio with people and go, okay, he's real talented. I like what he does. I like that. And so that's kind of how, you know, basically the entire band got linked up. Was me sending everyone a text that just said, "Hey, got some songs I'm working on. Could you please, hop on them with me?" But that's also not to diminish any of. It's cool because we just got the one guitarist, bassist, keyboard, drum, singer. So I feel like everyone really does provide that 20% or whatever coming in. And Tim King, I mean, that's basically. I think I met Tim King a week before we went on tour in the middle of the winter in Michigan. They dragged me out to the woods outside Grand Rapids. I'm sleeping in someone's the air mattress on their floor or something in a cold apartment.
Yep.
But it was still having fun.
I think it was more like 48 hours before we got on the bus, but yeah.
Yeah, I ordered an amp. I remember I ordered an amp and something got delayed with the shipping, and I showed up for rehearsal with just a guitar. And I was like, "No, my amp's coming. I got a new amp for this run." The singer was freaking out. They go, "Oh, we got a sound check." I was like, "I don't know. Call Z Sounds. I'm waiting for the shipment."
Yeah. That was late January of 2020 too, so it was about as cold as it gets here in Michigan.
Yeah.
See, folks, there's the horror stories of being in a band. You think it's just all hotels and luxury. It's not. It's nothing like that.
Well, I'll tell you what, when we got on that tour, we did the tour opening up for Alter Bridge, and obviously, they used to be Creed. That was the most posh. I mean, Chris has probably been on nicer tours than that, but they set us up. If you ever get the chance to go do 25 shows with Alter Bridge, they are very nice to everyone on the road with them. We're getting free Red Bulls, we have the hospitality manager, the green room, the showers, everyday laundry. Like, what are you talking about? I get to a venue, I get to do my laundry, take a shower, and then you feed me? Never heard of this before.
All right, guys, how important is it to create music as Shallow Rising versus not trying to sound like other projects you've been a part of? Because I know a lot of them will sound like other projects, but how important is it just to be Shallow Rising only?
Yeah, I think a good way to answer that is we named the project, or I guess my start of an answer to that is we named the project so the project had a name, but it's really, we're not trying to do anything specific. It's somebody comes up with a riff or a melody or something and shares it out, and then everybody just kind of does their thing, and whatever happens. It could be crowd and metal, it could be crowd and a country song at the end of the day. We never even know. It's just, and really it's T.O. behind the scenes tweaking the knobs and doing his thing in his laptop that, ultimately develops that sound.
It's pretty great for me to, like I mentioned earlier, I've never been in a band with a keyboard player, and to have that. I mean, there's been like on a couple Lamb records, there's been like a pad here underneath that or that kind of thing, but not an actual person involved that was like kind of writing. And it really opens up the sound more than I ever imagined that it could. And having Alex, who can do, as metal as you want him to be, and then you can probably, go out the next night and sing a whole Journey set. To have that ability that he has I've never worked with a singer that's been able to do all of those things.
Yeah, and I think for me, I'm a fan of a very diverse range of music. Like obviously when I was younger, I remember being 14 years old, sitting on the bus, you throw, your headphones in or whatever, you're listening to the angriest music that exists. But for a while, I don't know, I convinced myself I wanted to like go to Berkeley and be a jazz guitarist. So, I'm studying jazz and everything. I get in my car, I might put on anything on the radio. And what's really nice is all previous projects I've worked on, like even I did something with Tim King where we went to like a #1 rock producer. We want every single one of these songs to have the ability to be a #1 rock song. Or you play in a metal group and it goes, every single one of these songs, people got to be beating the crap out of each other. If you even sing a little bit in the song, everyone's going to say, "Oh, you went soft," or whatever. What's nice with this is it's just like you pick up the guitar, anybody's instrument, whatever you feel like making, you make. And so far, and I got to stop making fun of Chris for this, I've only made one song that he's absolutely hated. So we're doing I went way too weird with one of these songs. I don't know. I was using like Pink Floyd keys, and the singer did a million layers of vocals. It was pretty funny. But I think we might be able to save that one still. I'm tweaking it a bit. But it's fun just getting to do what it does. He doesn't. But it's fun just, just whatever we feel like doing, we can do. And there's no one that loaned us $250,000 that we have to recoup in addition to paying every single one of the members to pay our mortgages and feed our families, So it's really just, you pick up the guitars, whatever you feel like playing that day, you play that day. And for me, at least, that's a real freeing thing. Because also with, I got to stop ranting, but also with production, you work with bands and groups. And it's like, you got to make this sound. You're on Spotify top 40 pop songs, or, you're doing this. You got to make sure it's current, none of that's happening here, which is fun.
All right, Chris, you gotta let him make a B side of that song. Come on, you gotta let him make a B-side.
I'm not going to completely shut him down, but when I first heard it, it was pretty much. I think I just hung up on him. But that's go back to what we're talking about. That's kind of the way that it works. Like if Tim sends something and it sucks, I'm gonna be like, this sucks, dude. And if I send something and it sucks, he's not gonna be afraid to tell me it sucks. Like it's just, I don't know. It's just refreshing to, I don't know, be able to kind of do anything. And so I guess to answer your question originally, it's pretty cool to have a band like this and to be part of it.
What does each of you bring to this band that just makes that chemistry work alongside the friendship, though? What is it that just for each of you that just makes this chemistry work that says, this is where I want to be?
I hate to jump in, first on this, but we were actually even texting in the group chat last night, and I was making a couple of jokes about, we really do make a good team as far as, Chris, knowledge of music, obviously he's got a great taste. He's played with a bunch of large groups. Tim King, incredible management talent. He really, none of this would be happening. We wouldn't be talking to you. This would probably still be demos on my laptop if I hadn't got Tim King involved up until this point. And as far as, I record and mix all the music and handle the production duties. And then even the singer, there's a few of these songs that I sent him to a studio in California because I wasn't there. And he just sent the songs back and we did no revisions. So I think it's really, a combination of just great taste in music, technical abilities, knowledge of the music industry, management abilities, recording, production. I mean, we're basically able to do everything except physically hold a camera and shoot a music video just as the band without needing help from anyone else. I figure everyone else kind of feels that way.
Yeah, 100%. And we got, Tim probably put that together. We got a great video crew that we've been working with on a couple of videos that I've done a lot of videos, and this is definitely the most pro crew that we had come in and do the videos for us. What's the Carl's company called?
Weyant Alliance.
Okay.
Weyant.
Shout out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's got Carl shot both our music videos, and they work on a lot of really legit nice movies. And what's funny is they really don't do, I think us and the groups that we've been in are the only real music videos. They usually do full length, films and everything. And Tim King is somehow, I don't know, he's friends with one of the top guys over there, DJ, or related, or someone married someone. And so, I mean, it's cool. We basically have got the stripped down, full feature film crew that, can help us out with the videos.
Friends of friends of friends.
Mm-hmm.
That's how that one started.
So for each of you, what was your thoughts on hearing Alex Villarreal's vocals for the first time and made him the right guy for the vocalist as Shallow Rising?
I'll hit this one first just because my experience is probably going to be drastically different. T.O. had met him, and my first encounter with Alex was really here in the studio here in Michigan. And I didn't know we had been listening to one song that had been done for a while. I thought it was someone different, didn't even realize it. And I just remember him being in the vocal booth. And first of all, like, he's the most relaxed vocalist I've ever seen work. Like, you just keep telling him he's doing a shitty job, and he just smiles and says, "Okay, great, let's do it better." And just keeps going and going and going. And then you start hearing this weird shit in the background. And I remember, like, we would be mumbling stuff in the control room, but he can hear it in his headphones. And like somebody says Sinatra, and all of a sudden he's doing Sinatra. Somebody says freaking Megadeth or whatever, and all of a sudden that's what he's doing. Like, he can parrot pretty much any vocal style you want, and his range. Remember, we're doing harmony parts, and he's going up and up and up, and we're like, "Where's the top?" And he's like, "There isn't one." T.O. said that, and I'm like, "All right, we better just cut this out." But
it was pretty impressive. My first time was also in the studio with him, and I had not seen him. I didn't know who he was. I kind of came into the studio. I was like, "Oh, who's this guy?" Oh, he's a singer. Oh, okay, cool. He goes into the vocal booth, and like Tim said, it just was mesmerizing how he could nail something. I mean, you could just not even, hey, can you match this? But you just throw out like C sharp, and he hit it. Which octave do you need? It was just fascinating to see him work.
Yeah, the first time I got to work with him was 7 years ago, and I remember I was 21 years old, I might have been 22, and I had a little studio set up in Burbank. It's basically, just a broom closet with a U87 in it and, a laptop. And a band reached out to me where they were really, low budget. They recorded almost their entire record at the rehearsal space. And they were like, oh, the only thing this guy can't do are the vocals. Really, can we come in and do overdubs and some vocals with you? And then Alex shows up and he starts singing. I'm like, who is this guy? I mean, obviously it was a talented group of individuals, but they were like young kids, like pretty much fresh out of high school. And he was crushing it. And eventually I got to work with him a few more times because, we got along well together. I just always kept it in the back of my mind, I'd love to work with this guy, at some point in the future. Like I say, he's busy though. He does like 14 in the summertime. He might be doing 16 like triple headers on the weekend, shows a week in Los Angeles, just, all over. You go to a bar in Orange County, you probably heard him sing, at some point. It's funny. But yeah, he's great. And like I said, it's funny how I met him too. It was literally, these guys are basically kids, said, hey, you want to cut a record? I went, oh, I'm pretty much a kid too. Like, come on over. And I went, who is this guy?
Are you going to release an album or just maybe an EP due to it now being a singles game? What's going to happen, guys, possibly?
Yeah, single seems like the best move moving forward. And honestly, what would be real ideal? Get a few singles out, see if we can work on some more stuff, get it packaged together as a full-length release, soon. But at least now isn't the time of like, you have to get 12 songs together, package it on something and ship it out all over the country to stores, We could show people some songs, show them a video, some more songs, a video, some more songs, maybe package it as an EP, an album. But that's really up in the air as far as, immediately the next 6 months, you'll only see singles, singles and music videos coming out from us.
And it's really convenient to work this way as opposed to, booking out a studio for a month and, okay, we got to figure out 12 songs. In doing it like this, we can really kind of take our time, fine tune the ideas, and make it, there's just more, what do you want to call it? Creative time, ability to kind of work on things, and there's no pressure to have this or that done, and until something is done, it's not, and so there's no one holding a gun to us to put this up at this point or anything, so we can keep kind of, sometimes it's to diminishing returns where you keep turning knobs and keep working on things, but for the most part in this project, it's easy and fun, and nothing really gets overdone, and there's no kind of pressure to work on it. Like next month, Tim sends me something, we'll probably have a new single next month. So it's easy.
Yeah, I mean, same thing. And the reality there is it's really Tim O doing these mixes. We're not going anywhere. When I say studio, it's our own place that we have here locally. So we're not renting rooms. We're not doing any of that. It's truly T.O.'s engineering, T.O.'s producing. We work with the video crew on the big videos. Everything else we're doing ourselves. I record my key tracks in this very room usually and send them off. Tim deletes them, tells me to try again. There's literally an entire folder on our Dropbox called TK's Crazy Creations, 90% of which has been ignored, but it's all good.
We got things. It's a lit. You got to get the stuff. You got to get knocked out first, and then you can move on to the crazy creations. We got the non-crazy. Then you can move on to the crazy. Some of those we've worked on, and it's been fun. But yeah, and that's really the great thing. Where these days, you can just throw stuff up on Dropbox. I mean, Chris has even got a MIDI drum kit and his own plugin with his name on it. Like you can go online right now and purchase Chris Adler digital drums. And so it's really like just from hanging out at home, you can really get a lot knocked out on the songwriting aspect. And then, the only thing that you really look for is like, is there a real big, nice room we can throw this drum kit in? That's, the only extra thing you really got to look for, at least these days with, production and recording.
Yep.
If you guys can talk about it, was there a track that totally ended up sounding different than what it was intended to for your releases coming up?
The problem is it's almost all of them is like that because of the order of how we knocked this stuff out. It started out with just, guitar riffs and drums with me and Chris. And then eventually we brought Taylor, the bassist, along, flew out to LA, and then we had guitar riffs, drums, and bass lines. And then we brought Tim King on to throw in some keyboards. And then we brought Alex, the singer, on. And then I started remixing the stuff, now that I've got all these different songs and little clips and riffs. So basically with where stuff started at to where it is now, it's not even recognizable for every single song, I feel like, unless anyone, else feels differently. But just the order of operations has just done that.
There's a song that I don't remember the name of that was the first one that was technically, I think, done. And I have no idea what the state of that one is, but I remember for me, that was a huge transformation by allowing me onto that. I felt like that one like completely changed. And I think that's also the one that right up until like you've told me like for the 10th time, I didn't think that was Alex singing on that track. But you might remember what it is, and I don't know if you care about saying the name.
There was a lot of, like when I got to LA to do most of the drum tracking for this, everything was completely malleable. Tim and I would just sit there and talk about like, well, can't we have that riff go a little bit longer, or that riff doesn't really fit right there. So there wasn't like, hey, Chris, play the song. It was, hey, let's talk about this. And let's kind of work on it as we go, which was nice.
Yeah, the engineer that owned the studio we were recording at over there thought I was an insane person. Because, like, there was one guy in the studio, I remember we were bringing in Chris's drum stuff, and some guy was like, what's all this Chris Adler stuff? And then Chris Adler shows up, and there was some dude in the studio who was, like, starstruck. It was funny. And then we got in there, and I basically had, like, a Dropbox folder with some guitar riffs on it. And he thought, like you said, most of the time you go to the studio, you start out, you got 5-minute song, 4-minute song, you really go into it. But yeah, I like working like this, though. It's fun, really, it gives everyone the opportunity to give their input on it. And then I think some magic happens too when everyone gets together in the same room. I think you lose something where it's like I could just do my own album if I wanted to. I can, go buy Chris Adler, Superior drummer, and I could just, just hire Alex to sing. But there's a reason, I like working with everyone, and that's, it's fun getting to see the songs transform, I guess, from where they start to where they become.
It's like watching your babies grow. It's like, this is the baby. It goes from infancy to, child, up to adulthood, whatever. But it's cool to see those tracks start where they started from to see where they actually end up at.
Some of them you got to throw out.
Yeah.
I mean, so far only one, and maybe not even on that. I don't know. We're gonna see. We're gonna see.
I'm pretty sure.
When and if you guys do decide to put out an EP or an actual album, is that track placement going to be important for these releases? Because I know obviously you guys have been doing this for years, but does it have to have that ebb and flow for an album for you all?
Interesting. I'm not sure if that's the right answer to that question, but we had there were a couple things kind of in line that we were planning to do, and then just really honestly within the last week we kind of changed the kind of order of things. So I'm not sure. I guess it's just going to depend on how we feel next week.
Yeah, and for me at least, with handling the production on stuff, I do personally really value the order of songs, either on an EP or an album. That doesn't mean, we'll make major changes or it'll be anything real crazy. But at least for me, I do think that, the order of songs on there. And that's just because I'm a huge fan of all that old school, like, concept album stuff from the 70s up until now. And even I don't know how many people do it these days, but I'll still put on a record, listen to it from front to back. And so you don't have to do anything crazy and change structures and switch. The single sounds like this, but the album version sounds totally different. Yeah. But yeah, I do personally at least value, if we do get to the point where, hey, we're pressing a record, whatever. Yeah, definitely a lot of thought I think should go into the order of the singles. But like Chris said, what's fun is it's totally up to us. Who knows? We might come up with it, and then 3 days before we send it off to get pressed, go, we got to switch some stuff out still.
Yeah.
It'd be a heck of a puzzle to put together. I'll say that. The diversity of the songs would make it interesting. You might be looking down, figuring out if it just like swapped albums on you at some point.
Well, I have a Dropbox folder with all of our current demos on it that are, pretty much the ones that are full songs now. And I've had it ordered and been messing with the order of it for like 6 months, because I'll go jog in the morning. Sometimes I'll throw it on and I'll be like, oh, we should move this one here. We should move this one over here. But it's also like, we're not writing a concept record. So it might, maybe this song goes better at the end and this one better at the beginning, but it's not going to, seamlessly flow from, front. I played in a death metal prog band one time, and we literally wrote a 35-minute song. So we were all like, oh, we got to do, it's got to be, that's how, all those cool bands are doing it. Between the Buried in Me colors, you listen to that, it's straight through the, the whole record is one piece. I was trying to do that, not what I'm doing here.
I'm sorry. I love metal music. I love punk, and I love horror music. I just cannot sit there and listen to one song for 35 minutes. I just cannot. No way. Now, No Effects has a song called The Decline. It's 14 minutes long, but there's different variations of this song. One song, and it's great. And it's like, that was only 14 minutes. It's like only more. All right. So this is my favorite part of the podcast. We're going to get to know Chris and T.O. and TK here just on solely what they like. So this is crazy question, but I love asking it. If each of you could write an album equivalent to your favorite band's album, I know you guys have a lot of bands out there that you love. Which album would that be, and what band would that be? What album would you want to write that comes close to your favorite band's album?
For me, that's pretty easy. It's an album called The Discovery by a band called Cloud Kicker.
Okay.
That has just been for years and years and years one of my favorite things to listen to.
Yeah, for me, and it's actually going to be kind of bad because I'm actually wearing the T-shirt of it right now, but definitely Animals as Leaders Weightless. I remember I was in like 10th grade in high school when this record came out, and man, I got it. I got the cheapest H-Train guitar you could buy. I was trying to drop tune a 7, to hit, the notes for them. But that's honestly, if I had to say, my favorite type of music and what, if I could just sit there and make a record like that, by far that one's, definitely my favorite and something that I would love to do someday.
And I tell you, this one stumps me. I feel like I'm working on it because these guys will tell you, when it comes to band names and artist names and trivia and history, I got nothing. Like they pick on me sometimes and just say, Tim King doesn't even listen to music, so I don't understand why it's here. And it's kind of true. Like I have learned and played more original music in my life than other bands' music that I know.
What's been your most memorable show that you guys have been a part of that you still cannot believe to this day that you guys actually were, possibly, if you've had that moment?
Mine is pretty easy to remember. There was I think we were I was with Lamb, and we were in, Arizona, I think. I'm not positive, but it doesn't matter. But a guy comes through the barricade, gets up on stage, and gets all tangled up in Mark's guitar cable. And Mark's looking at me like something is drastically wrong, like something is terrible. And security is now backing away from the situation. And I'm going a million miles an hour. I can't really pay attention to what's going on. Finally get a chance to look over, and this dude he has apparently had a amputated, somehow still gets on stage, and has a colostomy bag that is now tied up in the guitar cable, so no one can move. And we figured it out, but it was definitely memorable.
Oh my God.
Mine's kind of boring. I got to perform at the Wiltern in Los Angeles, and I moved out there when I was 22 or maybe 21. And I just remember I went to there really early on to see a band play over there one time. And it's a beautiful venue. It's legendary. It's been there for forever. And I just remember I got to play there. I was performing in a band with Tim King. It was just one of those moments where you're like, this is crazy. And actually, I was using one of those digital, guitar amps at the time, modeler, and it crapped out on me. And I had a bunch of friends come out to watch us play. There was press everywhere. There was it was LA, so Slash, I think he wasn't side stage for us, but eventually he got side stage for the closing band, but he was somewhere, right? He was in the venue, and my guitar amp shutting down and nothing's working. And I tried calling their guitar tech over, and I'm standing up there looking like an idiot, but it's still a legendary venue. I had so much fun. It was one of those places you're there, you're like, I can't believe we get to perform here right now. And some technical difficulties, but whatever. It's a rock band, that happens.
I'm trying to think. I know we were in Seattle at some not nice place, and we had this guitarist with us at the time that liked to do more tricks with his guitar than he did play. And he got up there and he's doing his thing at the freaking crowded ass stage. We're backline like in front of Nonpoint and Hell Yeah or something, so there's like zero room on this stage. He comes in, does one of his little things, trips on all the chords, goes through the drum set. And the drummer is down to like a hi-hat and a snare, still keeping the beat. And Taylor, who's our bassist now, reaches down, because he was a smaller guy, reaches down while he's playing the bass with one hand, grabs this kid by the jacket, pulls him off the drums, and stands him back up and starts helping the drummer reassemble his kit while he's still playing the bass. That was epic.
Oh, that's great. Folks, Shallow Rising will be releasing their debut lyric single entitled Further very shortly. Also, they have other singles that's going to be released. So how can folks stay in touch with Shallow Rising, purchase these singles, find out everything about Shallow Rising? How can you do that, guys?
The website, shallowrising.com, is going to be the easiest point. You get links out to all the socials and all the streaming channels and everything from there. Otherwise, Google's your friend, you know. It should get you there.
Everybody stick around. We got some great stuff coming up. You only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour. Please get out and subscribe to the YouTube page. Trust me, you will not be disappointed on what I have out there. And I'm just going to say this right now. I hold my own. Trust me. I'd put my podcast up against anybody. That's how confident I am. Thank you guys for being on the podcast. Chris, TKTO. Honestly, thank you all so much. This has been a blast, and this has been one checked off my bucket list. So thank you guys.
Thank you, man.
Mm-hmm.
All the best.
You're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.